Good morning, guys. It is Monday, July 15th, 2024. This Bathrobe business. I got the coffee and I got the news. So it's somewhat of a slow news day just simply because the obvious assassination attempt over the weekend on former President Trump. So there's not too much I have to report on, but I do have a selection of stories I do want to talk to you guys about. The first story, and now a lot of these are weaving into a greater theme, like a lot of my videos normally are. These are kind of just trends and important stories in the market. So let's just jump into it. First story I'm going to share with you guys is this one right here. If my software wants to cooperate. Okay, here we go. So, Google is planning to buy a cybersecurity firm for $23 billion. Now, currently, this is a cybersecurity firm that is cloud-based. It's supposed to protect cloud-based servers and things like that. Its current value for pre-IPO is about $12 billion. So Google is offering more than twice that. I'm very curious if this is actually going to pass because the FTC chair, Ilna Khan, I believe that's how you say her name. She's pretty aggressive at stopping mergers, acquisitions, large scale buyouts. She stopped NVIDIA and ARM from joining. She stopped, I think, Sprint and T-Mobile from, or at least initially was trying to stop it from merging, but I think it's still, I believe, went through. So a lot of the stuff she's been very opposed to with having, I believe Spirit and JetBlue. That was the one that she stopped, was the Spirit and JetBlue buyout merger. So this is another example of something that she probably might come in and stop. I've been very supportive of her tactics. I think it's a good idea to prevent these large-scale monopolies for reasons I've discussed on the channel multiple times. We're not going to go into it right now. So far, there's been no word from the FTC about if they'll allow this to go, simply because this is also just a rumor at this point. No official offer has been given yet, but it is probably in the works if people are talking about it. What's also amazing is the company is very young. It was founded in 2020, so it's only a 4-year-old company, and it's already getting a $23 billion buyout. Speaking of buyouts, Macy's is ending its negotiation with Ark House. So we talked about this story multiple times. I think I started talking about it like November of last year, where Ark House Financial was trying to do a hostile takeover of Macy's board in order to force it to go private. There was back and forth on that. Eventually, Macy's opened to negotiations. Well, I guess now they're closing negotiations. However, what the stories don't talk about is if Ark House is going to continue the pursuit and try to take Macy's private. Ark House's main theme is to take the company private, try to sell off the real estate outside of the actual retail business, and that's how they're really going to make their money. And like many private equity firms, I feel like sooner or later it's just going to dissolve the entire company and yada, 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 Macy's is gone. So Macy's has denied any more negotiation with them. This may lead to continued efforts from Ark House for a hostile takeover, but so far that is unclear. Next story I want to talk about is Apple, actually. So Apple is actually doing amazing in India. So India has been a market that China has not been a market that Apple has traditionally been inside. It has always been in China, but Apple's sales in India have surged 33% to 8 billion just in the last quarter. So this is a new market that Apple is definitely trying to cultivate and definitely trying to nurture, because as we've talked about before, Indian economy is growing at a rapid pace. And it's something that is going to be opening up more and more in the coming decades. It's one of the fastest growing markets in the world. Now, everybody likes to make India out into China, thinking that it's just going to go in the same trajectory. I don't think it is. I think there are differences and major ones. I don't think the labor force is going to be quite the same thing as what China has had, but I think there is going to be massive growth as far as consumer purchases and new, I should say, existing U.S. companies going into that market. Last story I'm going to talk about is going to be China. So I know I always say I keep this localized, but I think China is such a behemoth that it affects the United States, and the fact that our economies are so intertwined is why I always bring up China and not countries like Europe or Canada, etc. China reported second quarter GDP growth of just 4.7%, missing expectations. So they were expecting growth of 5.2, it was 5.1, I believe, and only had 4.7 for the second quarter of 2024. Now, they did have 5.3% growth in the first quarter of 2024. So take this with a grain of salt. It's not a catastrophe. I also think that this isn't that big of a deal. I think that China is 4.3% growth, 4.9% growth is still, sorry, 4.7% growth is still massive growth for a single quarter. I think it's kind of funny when the West celebrates a lot of these numbers and says, oh, look, China's economy didn't grow as expected. It was only 4.7. It's 4.7 growth in one quarter. That's pretty astounding. I think any industrialized country would kill for that. And I know a lot of naysayers will say, well, that is, just China inflating the numbers. Could be, but a lot of this stuff is double verified with exports. So I mean, we there is trade deficits, there's imports, there's exports, there's ships moving all across the planet. I mean, sure, they could skew the numbers, but I don't think you're going to see massive deviation from this. That's pretty much it. Like I said, it's kind of a slow news day. Oh, last thing I didn't want to bring up. Let's just go to CNBC right now. Is the price of commodities. So I actually haven't checked oil yet. Let's see where oil is at. So oil is up, even though it says extends losses. It's up to $82 a barrel. Gold, it did hit a new record on Friday. It hit 24.28, which is a new all-time high. It is currently sitting above 24.17, and crypto is back up above 60,000 at 62,810. So this is just the coming inflation wave that I think everybody should prepare for, since the Fed has officially, well, I guess I shouldn't say officially, but it is well known that the Fed is probably going to be cutting interest rates. So I would expect inflation to go back up. So I just want to mention that again, as I always do. I think it's a terrible idea, but it's probably going to happen, like many are saying, in August or September. That's pretty much it. I got to get to work. I'm already running late. I hope you guys have a productive Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow.